Today, we are cracking open a really fascinating theory from Dan Winter's The Zero Archive. It's called PlanckPhire. And get this, it claims to be the single key to unlocking some of the biggest mysteries in all of physics. We're talking everything from gravity to consciousness, all explained by one elegant idea.
So where does a theory this big even begin? Well, the source material kicks things off by focusing on one central problem, a single question it claims that mainstream science just hasn't been able to answer.
And here it is. This is the hook. It's a question so basic a child can ask it. We all know that things fall, right? But this theory argues that modern physics doesn't actually get the fundamental electrical reason why they fall.
This quote really sets the tone, doesn't it? The source uses this to position its theory not just as some alternative idea, but as the necessary answer to a huge gap in our knowledge, challenging the very foundation of what we're taught. Okay, so if that's the problem, what's the solution? The theory offers up this core mechanism it calls Implosive Charge Collapse. So let's unpack what that actually means. Now, the key phrase here is non-destructive. This isn't about explosions or things flying apart. No. The theory is describing a kind of compression that actually creates order, that creates life, that creates the very forces holding our universe together. And this is a really interesting way to frame it. When we hear the word implosion, we usually think of something destructive, like the atom bomb. But the source says, hold on, that's a total misunderstanding. It draws a very sharp line between destructive fission and what it calls life-creating fusion. That's the real principle of charge collapse. But here's the thing, this whole process isn't just random. The theory claims this charge collapse follows a very precise mathematical formula, what it actually calls a golden recipe for creating reality itself. And these three ingredients are apparently the secret sauce. First up, you've got the golden ratio, creating this perfect, endlessly repeating fractal pattern. Then there's something called phase conjugation. You can think of it like waves meeting up perfectly to build each other up instead of canceling each other out. And finally, the whole thing is tuned to the absolute, most fundamental level of reality we know of, the Planck Scale. And here you see the mathematical heart of it all. The formula itself is presented as this beautiful combination of the smallest things possible, Planck length and time, mixed with what the theory calls the universal blueprint for design, the golden ratio, or phi. And the author doesn't just leave it at the formula. They actually put it to the test. This table supposedly shows what the PlanckPhire equation predicts from major cosmic cycles. The argument is that these rhythms in space aren't just coincidences. They're all mathematically locked in by this one single principle. So as you can probably tell, this isn't just another theory about gravity, not at all. The source material puts this forward as a genuine theory of everything, aiming to unite a huge range of phenomena under one single electrical cause. And the scope here is, well, it's massive. Just look at this list. The theory claims this one electrical process is the reason for everything. It connects the hard physics of gravity and atomic structure with biological ideas like life force and even consciousness, and then it goes even further into concepts like the soul. The argument is that the exact same process that makes an apple fall is what makes a seed grow and allows our minds to experience the world. It all comes together under this one big banner, the fractal grand unified theory. I mean, this visual from the source itself really shows you the sheer ambition of the project, to weave all of physics and even consciousness into a single unified story. I love this distinction the source makes. It says this isn't a reality distortion field, it's a reality creation field. It's suggesting that every force that pulls things inward, from the gravity holding galaxies together to the focused attention in our own minds, it all comes from this one single source. So, why does any of this matter? Well, the final part of the source material gets into what it sees as the very real, very dire consequences of ignoring this principle. According to the author, the stakes couldn't be higher. Wow, that is a powerful and pretty provocative statement. The author is basically arguing that our current model of physics, one that's based on entropy and ends in chaos, is a suicidal nightmare, and that this theory is the way out. And this slide really lays out the choice it's presenting. On one side, you have a universe of decay, randomness, and eventual heat death. And on the other, a universe of what it calls negentropy, the literal opposite of entropy, a universe where order, self-organization, and life are the main event. And this brings it all down to a very practical critique of our world today. The source uses this pretty memorable line that our technology is still powered by dinosaurs farting, to argue that our dependence on fossil fuels is a direct consequence of failing to grasp a principle that could unlock things like zero-point energy.
So we're left with this final, massive question from the source. It presents this whole idea of perfected charge collapse not just as another theory, but as the master key, the ultimate gate function that unlocks literally everything. Is this the one secret that makes the whole universe tick? Well, that's the question we're left to ponder.